This is going to be a quick video here. I want to talk about some specimens that I found at an estate here, and I'm going to go over each one and do a little crowdsourcing as well. The first one I really want to show off is this thing. This is gem silica, also known as Botryoidal Chrysocolla. The botryoidal is referring to the structure here of the growth. So you can kind of see here, you can see actually the original price that someone paid, or at least that somebody wanted to be paid for it. And I'm going to be cleaning this up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it in a cup of vinegar and let it soak for a while. And that will help to remove all of this white flashing that's kind of stuck down there, and I'll scrub it with a soft brush. Since Chrysocolla and gem silica are both members of the quartz family, they will be unaffected by the vinegar. There may be a little bit of material, slagging in the back. This piece right here might come off, but it's worth it to kind of get this cleaned up so then I can take it to market and see what I can get for it. This is another botryoidal piece. But this is really a very different material. This is malachite. It comes from copper ore. You can see here, and there are actually some copper, native copper. Now, one of the differences between this and the silica is that the silica is worth maybe 100 times more than the malachite. Now, that's the interesting thing about minerals. I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but rarity and scarcity and demand make a big difference. So malachite's in pretty high demand, but it's also very plentiful. This piece doesn't really need a whole lot of cleaning, and because copper would react with the vinegar, I probably won't clean it up other than just a little bit of warm soapy water and a very soft brush. Malachite's a very soft mineral. This beauty is Ametrine. See if I can get a clear image. There we go. Ametrine, as the name might suggest, is a combination of citrine and amethyst, which creates ametrine. Crystals like this grow naturally, where there is actually a division in color. The division in the color will depend on the environment in which the crystal grows and the trace elements that are in the quartz. Now, both these are a type of quartz, both amethyst and citrine. Other types of quartz include Smoky Quartz, lemon quartz, and of course, gem silica is another family of quartz. Now, this is a really nice piece because it is very clear on the inside. There's not a lot of fractures that go all the way through. You could cut a very large stone from this, or just appreciate it as it is. It has some really neat rainbows in it right there, and a lot of people really like the rainbows and stones. This is a really neat looking specimen. This is going to be Smoky Quartz, and what it's got inside of it is some rutile needles. It's been cut really well, and what the person who cut this did is they did the cuts so that the needles don't terminate on the outside. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this was actually hand cut or if it was just cleaned up. So what I'm looking for are growth lines on the crystal, because normally what you'll see is these really subtle, like tiny steps in the crystal face if it were totally natural, because quartz will terminate at a point similar to this and will oftentimes be six-sided, which this one is. But I'm not seeing any growth lines at all. So I believe that this one was later cut and faceted to look like this. The sticker on the back says "Made in Brazil," which is an indication that it was, of course, cut later by man. Now, it was likely grown in Brazil, naturally grown, but it makes for a really beautiful piece. You can see here at the bottom just a little bit of the natural area where the crystal would have been attached to the matrix. Okay, so this one I need a little help with. You can comment below or email me, but I'm really not sure what this is. There are some clues. You can see the way that it is growing. It's not botryoidal, it's not hexagonal or crystalline. It has a very fine grain to it. There's a price here, $200, and that tells me that, something. It tells me that this is not a ridiculously expensive mineral. It is a very large piece here. It fits in my hand, and I have big hands. It is kind of a lilac or lavender in color, and it doesn't really have any structure on the inside. It feels like it's probably some sort of Chalcedony, like a purple Chalcedony, but I don't like to sell things or pass them along until I'm sure what they are. So I'm going to pause the video now, go drop this in some vinegar, and we'll come back in a couple of hours and see what's happened. I'm all set up now to do my vinegar. Here, I'm going to show you the bottle. I'll cover up the brand here, but this is just some cheap store brand white vinegar. Nothing fancy. You don't need to get the organic, stuff. It's just something in there. Just going to put this in here. I'm doing this outside because vinegar smells pretty terrible. I don't want to stink up my office. And this will create a little bit of off-gassing. So I'm just going to drop that in there. And now, if you look closely, I can stop it from jiggling around. You can see these little air bubbles coming off. And that right there is the calcium deposits there reacting with the vinegar. And that's exactly what we want to happen. It's just like if you put baking soda in vinegar, you're going to get a reaction that causes carbon dioxide. So these are carbon dioxide bubbles coming off of the stone. And depending on the thickness of the calcium deposits, this could take hours or days. And I may change out the vinegar a couple of times. But we'll come back in a couple hours and we'll take a look at the progress. Alright, so here's the piece. It's come out of the vinegar looking really good. As you can see, there's a little bit of white left in there. If I did another soaking, I could get the rest of that out. It just never really got exposed to the vinegar because it was just too much caked in there. I wanted to show you how this looks, and I wanted to compare it briefly to that malachite again. You can see the malachite. Now both of these have copper in them, which is what gives them their color. Malachite is totally opaque, whereas the Botryoidal, Chrysocolla, or gem grade silica is transparent. I've got a pin light here, and you can see as it shines through, the light carries through the stone. There we go. Now, the botryoidal part, as you can see, is transparent, or I should say translucent. The matrix on the back is not. The matrix on the back is still a really nice specimen. If you were going to make a specimen out of this, you could keep it as is, or you could cut it along here. contrast here. This malachite is not translucent at all. So that's today's video. Thanks for watching.